Hi, welcome to my studio at Visual Philosophy. Today I want to go over a question that I ask myself a lot, but that often gets asked about my work, which is when and why do I use realistic or representational imagery and abstract imagery or non-representational imagery? And I have another video that kind of goes over the difference between abstraction and representation and what actually is abstraction. But I want to talk about that as it relates to my own work and my practice. And I have some examples, but just to begin with, I like to use a combination of representation and abstraction, meaning that some objects are recognizable, like this scale here, and some are not. Some are more amorphous shapes or blocks of color or marks that may seem random, but to me have meaning. And I do that intentionally, and over the past 20 years, I've built up a vocabulary of these types of marks and images, which a lot of artists do, which is part of how you can recognize an artist's work, because they have this vocabulary and grammar built into their artwork that is recognizable, that they continue to use throughout pieces, whether that's a print or an encaustic painting. You know, there's similar qualities, similar elements, similar colors that is unique to them. So I'll start with this one. And sometimes when I use the recognizable imagery, it's to create an anchor point so that amidst all of the sort of hazy, amorphous shapes and maybe unrecognizable elements, there's something that you can grab a hold of that the viewer and I, as the creator, can link to and form a connection with. Sometimes it's hard if it's not on like an emotional raw level to connect with something that's just color or shape, but to have something that you can identify is sometimes important when you are trying to connect with that piece. So that's one reason why I use that type of imagery. Another one is to bring clarity. So I'll often play with clarity and obscurity in my work because I'm dealing with issues of culture and the uncertainty of like who I am as a second generation Baltic American who has not a whole physical connection to my heritage and to my past because I don't live there, and I have artifacts from that time and place, but I don't have, I didn't grow up there. So it's kind of in memory and invention to me how I connect with that place and that culture. And so part of why I like to obscure and degrade and fragment the recognizable images is to allude to that. So this piece is made with encaustic paint, collage, image transfer, and probably pencil drawing. So I've got some transfer that's been purposefully kind of degraded and then covered over with that hazy encaustic paint so that it gives the impression that it's fading away, fading back, being covered over. And then the parts that come through that are more clarified, that are a little bit more clear, then are placed on top and give an anchor point again to connect with that recognizable object. So this is kind of why I play with the symbols, the little hash marks that for me reference musical notes and sound, and then the kind of archways that reference doorways and gateways to a different place or time, and then the physical objects that represent that sort of rotating aspect of time, but that I can kind of grab a hold of, and amidst all of the amorphous trying to find my place, I can have some kind of hold fast. So this is how I use different media and different elements, both abstract and representational, to relay my voice and my point of making artwork. You might do it some other way, but this is how I've developed my vocabulary to express those ideas. So I hope that answers some questions and maybe gives you some inspiration on how you can use abstract and representational imagery in your own artwork.